Back on the Patrick Netherton Show right here on 1130 The Tiger. Pleased to be joined by the president and CEO of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. He is Ronnie Rantz. You get to hear him, I think, Mondays on the show preceding ours, hanging with Hester from down in Baton Rouge. Ronnie, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. Normally, I'm with Jacob on Fridays.
Okay.
But when we're on the road or I'm out of town on Friday, we're kind of all over. It's either Monday or Friday.
Yeah.
But how you been, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Hey, congratulations! You got another class that's come out. Obviously, big news. So there's two guys that have kind of been the controversial ones that from folks we've talked to today. One is Nick Saban, of course. One is Phil Robertson. Those seem to be the two sort of lightning rods of this class. And I'm curious, when you're part of the process. Obviously, there's how many people on the committee? 35, 32?
Yeah, there were 35. People that are on the voting committee. My vote counts the same as everybody else's,
sure.
and most all the sports writers or broadcasters are folks that have been in business over 10 years in the state of Louisiana.
Yeah, and so you get a guy like when you see Nick Saban's in, Phil Robertson's in. Do you, as the president and CEO, because you're going to kind of be the face of this thing moving forward, do you kind of wince and go, oh well, I know I'm gonna have to talk about these two guys instead of it just being a huge celebration of all of the folks that went in, or are you happy because these are all people that are deemed worthy to be in the hall?
Patrick, I apologize. Say that again. You cut out on me.
Basically, I'm just curious, when you see guys that you know are going to have some lightning rods, does that make you wince as sort of the face of the Hall of Fame? You know you're going to have to be talking about this, or are you just happy that everyone's in?
Well, here's the thing. Nick Saban's been on the ballot for a few years because the way to qualify to even get on the ballot is you have to have either played high school ball in Louisiana for 2 years or played college ball for 2 years or coached or played for 5 years or more. Nick Saban qualifies because he coached in Louisiana for 5 years at LSU, of course, won a Sugar Bowl, won a national championship. So he's been on the – and for coaches, if they're active, they can go on the ballot once they turn 60. He's 67 years old. I think he got put on the ballot 3 or 4 years ago. We knew he was going to get in at some point. He deserves to get in, obviously. I mean, the LSU program, what it is today, would be what it is if it wasn't for Nick Saban. But the question was when, and obviously you would prefer to wait till their time is done coaching if they're, going to retire. But in Nick Saban's case, most people think he's probably going to be a Bobby Bowden, and coach till he's 80 years old or something. There's no end in sight for him, and we wanted to. The committee, the sports writers kind of had talked about making sure Les Miles got in before him because Les had spent more time at LSU and all that. Well, Les Miles retired. It looked like he wasn't going to coach. We waited a year. He didn't get a job, thought he was done, elected him to the Hall of Fame, and 3 months later he got the Kansas job.
Right.
So Les Miles got in before him. With Nick Saban, it's one of those situations where do you wait 3 more years till it's the 20th anniversary of the 2003 class? You wait till he's 70. It's high, but all that's if you're anti Nick Saban now, you're going to be anti Nick Saban in 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years. So my thought was pull the Band-Aid off and just do it. He deserves it. There's no better time than the present.
Interestingly, most of the people that have responded today, as we've talked about it, are not anti-Nick Saban. They're very much aware of how good he was, and they're okay with putting him in. The one that we've had the most controversy about, Ronnie, is Phil Robertson. And I'll claim that I'm the one who started it because Phil Robertson is a fantastic outdoorsman, but is this a guy that gets in because he was a reality TV star at some point? Is that sort of part of it?
I agree that Phil Robertson is a tough. It's a tough one. Not that he doesn't deserve, in my opinion, Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, and I'll explain why in a second. It's really what the category is as a Dave Dixon Leadership Award winner or as a Hall of Famer. Keep in mind, Louisiana is a sportsman's paradise. Mm-hmm. We take hunting and fishing very seriously. It's all about sports and outdoors. And what happened is because of that, sports writers a number of years ago decided, you know what, we don't have enough representation in the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame in those categories, hunting, fishing, and outdoors. So they made a decision a few years ago, look, we're going to elect three three people in over the next 5-6 years from that category. And 2 years ago, we elected Jack Haynes. He was the first ever Bassmasters Classic champion from Louisiana. And when you talk about Phil Robertson, anyone who does anything with duck hunting, I mean, they are the people. And duck hunting in Louisiana is super huge, super popular, and it's a part of outdoors. So I think that played a role in it. Which category you put him in, that's debatable. But as far as someone who's impacted the state of Louisiana from a hunting, fishing, sportsman's paradise, I think that their family and what they've done for the sport is unprecedented.
Do you think the reality show played a role in that?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think anything that brings takes you to another level and quite honestly makes everyone aware of it, right? I mean, I'm not personally someone who goes and duck hunts a lot, right? But because of the reality show, I became aware of what, that family and what their business and what they've meant to the state and the sport from a sportsman's paradise type perspective. And so I think that it just became, you brought awareness to what Phil Robertson accomplished. Had the show not been around, a lot of folks maybe would not have known.
I'm also curious, is there an element when the sports writers are discussing things about sort of quote-unquote off-the-field controversies? Because, Phil's said some things that have made some people unhappy, that kind of thing. Is that something y'all discuss during the process, or is it this guy's going in on the merits of what he's done?
Well, it definitely is brought up, but I think a decision was made by the sports writers in the selection committee a few years ago that we don't want to take into consideration too much off the field, right? For that matter, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, formerly of Chris Jackson, he'll obviously be in the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame one day. He had some controversial off the field situations. Do you any NFL football players that took a knee? Do you not put them into the Hall of Fame one day if they deserve to be because of their political stance? So I think we decided to look, we can't worry about those things. We're not going to be Cooperstown and keep Pete Rose out because of something he did off the field.
I suggest that y'all put Pete Rose into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame?
I would love to. That's a good move. Maybe give him a special award. He needs to be in somebody's Hall of Fame.
Exactly. Talking to Ronnie Rantz, the president and CEO of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Ronnie, now let's talk about the non-controversial folks that are in. Peanut Tillman, Joe Horn, Kerry Kittles, Angela Turner from Louisiana Tech, Ronnie Coleman, the 8-time Mr. Olympia. It seems like a very strong class again this year, and obviously Nick Saban highlighting it. But, man, it seems like you had some tough choices to make, and y'all got some really strong folks to put in.
Over 150 folks were nominated. I would say solidly 60, 65 deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, and many of them will be one day. You can only elect 8 each year. So, and you try not to. We have rules in place so that you can't have more than 3 from any given sport, max 1 year. That way, you don't have 8 football players or 8 basketball players. It's all about diversity. And my thing about the diversity, because granted, the household names are going to be in your bigger sports, football, baseball, basketball. But last year, for example, we inducted Danielle Scott, and most people walking around in the state of Louisiana don't know that name.
Yeah.
Well, she was a 5-time Olympian and voted the #1 indoor volleyball player in the history of the United States, and she hails from Baton Rouge. And just because you don't know who they are, they're not household names, doesn't mean they're not super deserving. And you talk about Ronnie Coleman. My goodness, went to Grambling, played football. Guy was an 8-time Mr. Olympia. No one's ever done it better. They have weight room equipment and workout equipment in his name. He's had 3 Netflix documentaries, about him. I mean, the guy is a superstar, and we're fortunate that he's from Louisiana. He's a wonderful man, and we're excited to learn more about him and to meet him and to tell his story for the next year.
Hey, Ronnie, you mentioned Danielle Scott from last year. I got to witness that up close and personal. I went out and got to be kind of a part of the USA Olympic qualifying for the
Shreveport.
volleyball. It was up in Shreveport, and I got a credential, and I was back there, and the way that all of the people around USA Volleyball and the players themselves reacted to Danielle Scott was astonishing. Because
she's like their Michael Jordan.
Yeah, she's literally everyone. They basically all came bowing and scraping up to her because she's literally the best that they've had. And so it was pretty amazing to watch that, because I didn't know who she was until I saw that she was being inducted in the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. I get to meet her. She's a true delight. And you watch everyone else react to her within her world, and it's impressive to see. And that's one of the things I love about the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is, like you mentioned, you get to see some people and have some people inducted that you may never have heard of, but in their world, in their reality, they're as big as they get.
Absolutely. And I'm being a Saints fan, I'm super excited about Joe Horn, well-deserved. The guy was a multiple All-Pros. And, Marcus Colston holds the record, at least for now. Thomas will obviously break them. But,
right.
You're talking about, Eric, Joe Horn, Eric Martin, Marcus Colston, Michael Thomas. I mean, those are the top four. Throw in a Danny Abramowitz. You're talking about the top 5 wide receivers ever to play for the Saints.
I'm wondering, are y'all going to hide a cell phone in the podium for Joe Horn?
You're not the first one to bring that up. I'm sure there'll be a lot of cell phone references. I'm sure he'll pull something off. But no, many people have joked about that you can have a cell phone at the podium.
Talking to Ronnie Rantz, president and CEO of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Look, I've got to say I enjoy the class, but I have one thing that I do want to hit you up on, and this is a personal thing, but I'm putting it out in the air, and we talked about it already. I need to find out exactly how I get Rogers Hampton Sr. in the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Rogers Hampton Sr. is arguably the best athlete that ever lived in the city of Shreveport. And I know he's on the Veterans Committee and all that, but we got to get this guy in. He's in like 11 halls of fame and all sorts of different places. He needs to be in the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, Ronnie.
Well, there's I've heard his name before. I've heard the story. Obviously, a little short guy, who can definitely lobby on his behalf in that meeting. But I'll tell you what, it's so tough. I have people every day call me, walk up to me, tell me the story about so and so. And there's so many well-deserved folks in the Hall of Fame. We do the best we can to get them in, but we're talking about the best of the best. We're not talking about, guys that were great in high school or guys that were great at one point in their career. We're talking about guys that were great throughout high school, college, professionally. And it's tough. It's tough, and I wish we could elect 28 people every year, although the banquet would still be going on. But we do the best we can.
No, I know you do. And again, that's not an indictment on you or the committee. But I think it honestly, and we were talking about this earlier, Ronnie, that what makes it tough is especially for the older inductees or the older candidates.
Right.
The people that can lobby on their behalf and the people that saw them play and saw how great they were die out, and it makes it. I got to imagine it makes it very difficult because a guy like Jerry Bird Sr. or a guy like A.L. Williams, who saw Rogers Hampton Sr. play and played with him, those are guys that Jerry Bird Sr. is not around anymore. You can't call on him to come and stump on his behalf. I got to imagine that makes it tough, especially for the Veterans Committee.
Well, it does, but we have to elect 2 folks that are 70 or over each year, and I'll be honest with you, our makeup of our panel, of our selection committee, is an older makeup. So guys are very familiar, guys are very conscientious, former players, and it's not like people are looking at the shiny new thing. I mean, There's no question that we take very seriously the guys that in the past and look at some folks from the 50s and 60s and 70s that may have been overlooked, and absolutely consider them for the future.
Ronnie, you're a good man to come on and answer all my incredibly tough questions. And look, you're a good dude. I know it. Y'all have a great class put together, and I'm really looking forward to not going to the 2020 induction ceremony, so I don't have to listen to all the speeches.
Well, I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get you there. It's always the last Thursday, Friday, Saturday in June. You can go to lasportshall.com, and heck, you can buy tickets now. I've already sold a couple of tables today of folks wanting to go see Nick Saban.
Absolutely.
So, look, never too soon to get your tickets. It's
a fantastic event and a fantastic, basically 3-4 days of events, and that's the best part. Y'all have turned it into a real 3-day event, not just the induction ceremony. Y'all done a great job with it, Ronnie, and I congratulate you.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
All right, you got it. Ronnie Rantz.